Here are 5 spoiler-free tips and tricks that will come in handy no matter if you're new or a veteran to Monster Hunter. Tip number 1. Picking a weapon, especially for first-timers, can be quite a tough decision. Everyone wants a weapon that's fun, not too clunky, and deals tons of damage. But that's the thing. Fun is subjective, and I want you to focus on that. What appeals to you? What is your heart telling you? A giant hammer? A mechanical click of a transforming weapon? 2 trusty blades? Sure, the damage difference could help you clear a minute or 2 faster, but always remember this. In Monster Hunter Wilds, you can swap weapons on the go. There's no real downside to taking a temporary L to learn lifelong skills. Not only that, but each weapon type can be more or less advantageous against certain monsters. For example, dual blades may not do as well as a weapon with a long reach if the monster's weak point tend to be higher off the ground. Approaching your weapon choice around comfort, personal appeal, and situations will be a much better, more rewarding experience for the long term. Not only that, but each weapon has so many different intricacies to the movesets themselves that some weapons might feel like a totally new game to you, which might give you even more bang for your buck. If you feel like you don't know enough about the 14 weapon types to make a decision, I recently posted a video that breaks down the playstyle and high-level overview of each weapon type, so if you're lost and confused, check that out. There should be a link on the top right of the screen and in the description as well. Hopefully that helps you out. Experiment, try things, and soon enough you'll find your own style of play. Just don't forget to sharpen your weapon. Each attack you land will cost a bit of sharpness, up to a certain threshold, and then that weapon will degrade. A dual blade not only makes it harder to pierce certain monster parts, but also lowers the actual damage multiplier of each of your attacks, while higher sharpness increases that damage multiplier. As you craft newer weapons, or upgrade old ones, the raw attack value displayed does not take into account the sharpness multiplier. So even if a weapon is a little bit weaker than another one but has a much higher grade of sharpness, that weapon might actually end up doing a lot more damage. Not only is there a higher multiplier at the max sharpness, but also the sharpness will last a lot longer, and you'll be able to pierce more body parts of a monster. Tip number 2. Once you've decided to focus on a weapon type or two, you'll want to start crafting a variety of weapons of different attributes for your desired weapon type. Each monster in this game will have different elemental strengths and weaknesses. Some can be weak to fire damage while others can be weak to water damage. Using a weapon with the elemental attributes that is extremely strong against a certain monster will make your hunts go by a lot faster. And the opposite is also true, because using an elemental weapon that a monster resists means that you'll do no elemental damage at all, making it so that the weapon in your hand is effectively only relying on its raw damage value. If you're unsure what a monster is weak to or are strong against, don't be afraid to search for that information online or look at the craftable armor set that stems from that monster. By equipping the armor set of a monster, your hunter will essentially inherit the resistances and weaknesses of said monster. Another option is to utilize a weapon with a status ailment like paralysis, sleep, or poison. Just like elemental damage, certain monsters can resist certain stat ailments better than others. Also, once you apply the ailment to the monster, like let's say you poison them, once they recover from that ailment, they will build up a higher tolerance, making it harder to reapply the second or third time. Status ailments can be especially strong in a multiplayer environment. With that said, your wallet might be hurting a little bit if you're trying to cover all your bases in terms of elemental types or ailments, especially early on. To mitigate this, I recommend selling spare monster parts in your storage that you no longer need. Be very careful. If you see any plates, gems, or mantles for any monster, be sure to hold on to those. The drop rates for those monster parts can be extremely low, and you'll never know when you'll need it for a random decoration or equipment down the line. Tip number 3. Join public lobbies, chat, and make friends. While many would recommend, and I kinda agree with this, that you learn to fight the monsters by yourself first, Monster Hunter is designed around playing in a team, and speaking from experience, the journey is elevated when you're growing in skill and knowledge of Monster Hunter with other people. The beginning months of the game is going to be your best shot at finding people of similar skill levels, especially with crossplay available for the first time in the series. For the unaware, this allows for PC players to play with PS5 players to play with Xbox players. Having put in thousands of hours into Monster Hunter over the years, I don't remember much about the endgame gear grind of each game outside of being annoyed. What I do reflect fondly back on is the journey from zero to hero in each game with my friends or befriending that random Wi-Fi hunter who just so happened to randomly join my lobby, and then continuing to hunt with them throughout the game's life cycle. If you're a bit shy, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell, because I may be hosting certain weekend public lobby events so we hunters can mingle and fight together. Oh yeah, before joining public lobbies, there's something you need to know, especially if you're new. When a large monster is asleep either through stat ailments or it being weak and trying to rest to recover HP, The first tick of damage that is applied to the monster does 3 times the normal amount of damage. So if you're using a dual blade or sword and shield, you might want to leave that first hit to somebody with a much bigger, more chunky weapon like a great sword or a hammer or a charge blade. Not only will this help you clear the hunt faster, but you'll also avoid pissing off people who are looking forward to that high damage number with their great sword or charge blade or whatever. This also goes for large barrel bombs. If you have them, put them down in front of the monster's head or weak point or whatever, and then let that person who does the big one-hit damage detonate that bomb. Tip number 4. Outside of the weapon in your hand, there are many other tools that can turn the tide of battle for you or make your life a lot easier. Tools like pitfall traps, shock traps, flash bombs, dung bombs, various mantles you can equip, or even just honey that you can use to combine with potions in your inventory to create even more mega potions can be game changing. The flash bomb in particular can be quite lethal. If an enemy's flying in the air and you happen to flash them and they go blind, they'll fall to the ground and be stunned for quite a bit of time, providing you a window of opportunity to lay down the hurt. The opposite hand, if the monster's winding up for a really big attack and it's gonna kill your friend, you can shoot out that flash bomb to stagger them and save your friend's life. Do note, for the flash bomb to work, the enemies have to have eyes, and you have to detonate that bomb in their line of sight. Another really potent tool is the life powder, a healing item that becomes more common as the game goes on, but what it does is that it heals you and any ally within a certain range, and the range is pretty wide. Just like the flash bomb, if your teammate's gonna take a lethal hit and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, you can heal them, saving them from getting carded. Tip number 5. This tip may feel like the most nebulous of them all, but I think it's the most important one. Hear me out. While the main premise of Monster Hunter is to grind to make better equipment and weapons with better and stronger skills and higher defense and attack values, but even if you have all that gear, you can still fail your hunts. More important than the raw stats or the plethora of skills that you have, it's how you utilize it. While upgrading gear can help make it easier to fight certain monsters, the ultimate way that you'll come out on top is by learning the monster's movesets and attack patterns while moderating your own aggressive tendencies. When you first meet a monster who is very fast and aggressive, it can be really frustrating because you can't get a hit in without getting hit yourself, but once you recognize and utilize the window of opportunity that exists within a monster's attack patterns, everything changes, and that's when the true magic of Monster Hunter is revealed to you. You're dodging attacks left and right, the monster can't touch you no matter how fast it is, and you're dealing damage, staggering it all the time, breaking off individual pieces that you want. You have full control over the fight, and that's when you know you've understood the monster. Don't get me wrong, certain skills like evade distance up or extra evade invulnerability frames can help make your life a lot easier, but all the same, your progression as a hunter has nothing to do with your equipment or your weapon or the resources that you have, but more so on the competency of your own skill, and that is the true value of Monster Hunter. And it's not even about just knowing the monsters that you're fighting, it's about knowing their environments as well. At what parts of the map can you find endemic life that can make your hunts a lot easier? Or maybe luring the monster to a part of the map that you can utilize certain terrain to damage and immobilize them for a period of time, giving you another window to vomit damage onto their faces. What I'm trying to say is, even though there's a lot of emphasis put in the weapons and equipment that you can make in Monster Hunter, that is not the main progression system. Notice that your hunter never levels up. It's what you know, not what you have. Thanks for watching, and if you had a good time, hit that like button below, and subscribe for more Monster Hunter Wilds content. If you're up for even more information about Monster Hunter Wilds, check out this video on screen right now. My name is Varsana, and I'll see you in the next video.